Hi everyone, it's Shelby here. Welcome back to A Little Literary Love. I'm glad y'all are with me today. Today's video is going to be my end of October wrap up. And yeah, we're going to talk about the last little bit of books that I read in the month of October. If my lighting for this video is kind of weird, I usually have my window open to let in like some natural light, but I needed to close it up because, as you can see, like the sun is like right in my face and I cannot deal with it. So here we are. I only read 4 books in the latter half of October. I've slowed down on my reading a bit. I don't think it's that I'm like necessarily in a slump at all. I've been enjoying, for the most part, what I've been reading, and I've been excited about reading. It's just my kids are older and are running all over the place, and I'm dating, and it's just, I've got a lot of other life things going on that I just haven't had as much time to devote to reading, and that's okay because, you know, life happens. But yes, so I did only read 4 books, so hopefully this video will be a fairly quick one. So we're just gonna get right into it. I was still trying to, for October, continuing reading like dark romances, paranormal, just for like the spooky vibes with like Halloween in October. And now that it's November, I'm still kind of reading those just because that's what I've been in the mood for. So, and I made like a TBR, and I want to try to get through more of those books for my fall TBR, which most of them happen to be like dark stuff. So anyway, moving right into the books that I read Ghost by Kat Blackthorne. This is the first book in her Halloween Boys series. This is a paranormal romance. This is about our heroine. She has been on the run from her stepfather, and some spooky, crazy things happened. And I believe he killed her mother. So then he went to prison, but he's been like sending her these creepy letters. So she's been on the run from him, and she comes to this town. That's kind of strange that she was able to come into this town because nobody is ever able to come in or go out of this town. And anyway, so she has a therapist there, and she hears about the Halloween Boys. They're the kind of just this legend in the town. The town makes a really big deal out of Halloween. It's like this month-long celebration instead of just the one night. So every night for like a whole month, they're all like dressing up and having fun, and so she decides to participate in this. And again, she hears more about these Halloween boys that caused some trouble, and the town is very afraid of these guys. So I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. I wanted to like this more than what I did. So there's definitely paranormal elements. There's more than like what you see on the surface. Like there's deeper layers to the story of what is actually going on. This, I've heard, does turn into a reverse harem story, but we only get a relationship between the heroine and one of the guys. And I'm not the biggest fan of my reverse harems like going like that, where they take a while. It definitely gave the vibes that I was wanting for like Halloween, the spooky and the creepy and kind of like this mysteriousness about the town and what all is going on. But I found fault where like the plot, there was several plot holes or things that didn't really get wrapped up, or things that were just kind of like explained away. It just, I don't know, I didn't really care for that. Yeah, those are the biggest things. And I did start to read the second book, but I was just really not into it, so I DNF'd it for now. I may try to revisit the second book at another time, but I don't know, I didn't really care for it as much. Steam on this is going to be medium high. This is a dark book. There's many trigger warnings in this one. Yeah, it was okay. Then I read Entranced by the Basilisk by Lillian Lark. This is her third book in her Monstrous Matches series. So this is a book about this human girl, and she works, I think, at a museum or like an art gallery, something with like historical fact or artifacts, and she opens this book and is cursed, and she ends up having her hair turns into snakes, and she can, by looking at people, she can turn them to stone, kind of like Medusa. And her boss and his somewhat lover, they haven't really like stated what they are, decide they are basilisks, and they are going to help her with this new magic that she has and try to take this curse off of her because she does not want it. And this is her, she was friends with the girl from the second book of the series, and so she's very new into the supernatural world and being introduced to that. So this is a big like culture shock for her, and especially with having these magical abilities, it's a lot for her to take in. So they're trying to help her out with this. I give this 4 stars. I thought this was a really cute romance. So this turns into an MMF, so like a throuple kind of romance. It was very cute. I liked how the heroes were very protective of our heroine and willing to help her. There were some things that they weren't always honest with her, which I didn't really care for, but those are more minor. And overall, I really enjoyed this one. Steam on this is going to be very high. Then we get to a book, which is another reason why I didn't read more books, because this book is like 600 pages. It's a pretty big chunker. The stupid sun is annoying me with lighting and whatnot. Anyway, okay, so the book that took me a while to read, and another reason why I did not get to more books in the last half of October, I read Nocticadia by Keri. This is a dark gothic romance, and like I said, this is pretty chunker of a book. It is over 600 pages. This is about our heroine. Her mother died from this mysterious illness that was kind of like brushed under the rug. Like the coroner's report said that she committed suicide, but she knows that her mom had this weird illness, and so she is wanting to go to college to become a doctor so that she can research this illness and help people with this illness. So she gets a scholarship to go to this prestigious academy, and she goes there and she meets one of her professors that is for parasitology professors. He is known as Dr. Death. He has this like secret lab that he works on things like at night, and she wants to get close to him so that she can help him in his lab and help research this weird parasite disease and help people. Whereas he is also wanting to research this parasite that only comes from this island that this academy is at, because he has a very rare disorder, and he is hoping that this parasite can help to cure his disorder. So this turns into a student teacher or professor student, whatever you want to call it, romance. This is also very dark. This is also a very slow burn because of how long this book is. It's a very slow burn, but once you get to the good stuff, it's pretty good. Steam on this is very high. And then, like I said, this is definitely a dark romance. There is death and murder. I gave this one 4 stars. I did enjoy this one. It was definitely a ride reading this book. There's lots of things that happen. It's very mysterious. I loved the vibes of this whole book because it's very much, like I said, a gothic, spooky kind of book, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But there were like a few things that, like little plot points that I wasn't a fan of. Everything does get wrapped up. I will give it that. There was this little bit with like a secret society too that was so minimal. I honestly thought that it could have been left out and the book would have felt the exact same. I didn't think it was very necessary for this whole secret society that she's kind of sprinkled in. I think it would have been fine without that bit, but otherwise it was pretty good. And she does have an epilogue to it that, like, I don't know, like it almost ends on a cliffhanger, but also doesn't. I haven't heard anything about her saying that she's gonna make like a sequel to this book. As far as I'm aware, this is just a standalone book by itself, but I'm very curious if one of the other characters is going to end up popping up somewhere later or in another book of hers. I don't know, but it was pretty good. And then the last book that I read for October is going to be Playing with Knives by AJ Merlin. I did this one because it was an audiobook that I had, and I've been really enjoying AJ Merlin. She's been writing lots of dark romance, like romantic suspense kind of romance. So this is about our heroine and her roommate gets murdered, and she doesn't feel like the police are doing a good enough job investigating this, so she decides to kind of do some snooping on her own. She is also a she steals things. That's how basically she makes her living, is that she steals from people. So, and she breaks into homes, so she decides that's her skills are going to help her out. And then there are these 4 guys that are outsiders. They've never been in this town, but they're just suddenly in this town, and she starts talking to them and trying to investigate them, because why were they suddenly in this town when these murders like happened? So yeah, so she just becomes very entranced by these strangers that have come around. I gave this 3 stars. This is okay. I didn't enjoy this as much as some other books by AJ Merlin. I still, like, you never really knew what these guys were. They're like, they call themselves a pack. And she just never come out and say like what exactly they are and what they're doing. They're kind of like the mafia of sorts. It never really got explained very well. And then once you get to like the spice, it just all happens like super quickly, like very insta-lust, where they're all just sleeping with her. And then she's also supposed to be this, like, that's what she does for a living, is sneaking around and stealing from people and pickpocketing people. And all of these guys, like, no, she gets caught so easily by all of these guys, which didn't really make sense to me either. So I don't know. I had like many like issues with this one. Steam on This High, this is, like I said, a very dark romance. There's lots of trigger warnings, but yeah, this one wasn't my favorite from AJ Merlin. This isn't a book that's definitely going to stop me from reading more of her books. I still want to read more of her books, but this one was not a favorite of mine. So yeah, so that's gonna be all the books that I read for the end of October. Let me know down below in a comment what were some of your favorite books from the month that you read. Make sure to leave a thumbs up for this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.